Yes, my Straight Talk family, it is time for another edition of Straight Talk, and time for me to bid you a very pleasant night, St. Kitts and Nevis, and a very pleasant night to the entire Caribbean region. I say a special night to Nevis, over there at the Nevis Sports Authority, and all my Straight Talk family in Nevis, a special night tonight. And to Montserrat as well. Haven't heard you for some time, Montserrat, but I know that you are all doing well. And I greet my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian and the Vision diaspora, who are all over the world. Some of you are in Africa. There are some of you in Europe. There are some of you in Asia. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I am at liberty to say good night. I can't say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Perhaps just relaxing, getting all geared up and ready for a very, very hot summer. We are predicting, it has been predicted. And I normally do have first-timers. And just to inform you, if you are a first-timer, that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a program to express yourselves freely. Let us, in the process, strive to get St. Kitts returned to that enviable position of being one of the freest countries, if not the freest country in the entire world. On this program, we also try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I thank Almighty God for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on this another occasion. And my Straight Talk family, for the first timers, I must also inform you that this is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded to call, the numbers are 663-6672. That's a local number. If you can access that local number from overseas as well, all you have to do is add the area code 869-663-6672. And we do have an overseas number, US number 646-829-6672. And I met one of those persons who like to use the cloak of anonymity. Met her on Saturday. And yes, if you like to use the cloak of anonymity, we give you access via our email platform, which is Straight Talk Patches. That's STRAIGHTTALKPATCHES. That's one word, at gmail.com. And my family, tonight, I want to extend condolences for all those who have lost loved ones. Sometimes the news just passed me by, and I'm fortunate. Just happened to be listening to the radio on Friday and found out that my good old friend was buried on Saturday morning. I was fortunate to just hear that announcement. So those who have lost loved ones, we extend condolences from Straight Talk. And just to remind you, as well as we always do, to remind you that death is just a process. Because we can say anything. We can say condolences, your sympathy, and all sorts of things. But the fact is, who feels it knows it. And it's only when someone in particular very close to you goes away, then you feel that pain. You feel that pain yourselves. No one can feel that pain for you. So, my Straight Dog family, all I can say to you, as someone said to me one time, that death is just a process. And we usually have a thesis each program, each night, each episode. And my short thesis tonight is titled, The Conduct of Two Wutless Experts. And Wutless is colloquial. Some in the English region would say worthless. But we say wutless experts. And when our elders referred to anyone as being wutless, it was often coupled with the words good for nothing. For example, they would say, or they would describe a troublemaker, for example, in the neighborhood as a wutless good for nothing. And all it meant was that this individual or these individuals never cared about getting into trouble. They never cared about people. They were just in their own world. And we have them today. We have them in all areas, in all different societies, and amongst all different classes of people as well. But there are two wutless experts in government who hide behind their angelic features, I call it. They hide behind their angelic features, but they have been exposed by their clear, and in one case in particular, exposed by their clear felonious conduct, I call it. They both seem to support a two-tier system or a two-tiered system of justice, and the propensity to take money out of the pockets of the poor man, take money out of the pockets of the poor woman in St. Kitts and Nevis. One of them heads the current administration, the leader in government or the head in government, and the other is his chief legal advisor. But that's as much as I would reveal for this at this moment, because before going into discussion with my into discussion in relation to my thesis, I crave your understanding as we first consider our usual observations in review. And for those who may have joined me for the first time, this is the moment when we highlight the issues of the day, do some reflection. We may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped us, or how has it helped others, rather, what has changed since, and what can be expected next, also what new we have learned as a people. And my first observation, my Straight Dog family, and I must tell you, I missed you on Thursday, but we decided, let's have some fun. Let the music festival reign. And the 25th Music Festival, it is opined, will go down in history as one of the best editions ever, and one that featured several of its own artists as in the past. But never before our festival featured a local act with such wide international acclaim who made every Kittitian, and Nevisian proud. Byron Messiah is the name that has created much regional debate about his country of origin, for example. But for now, we must settle my Straight Dog family with the fact that Byron Messiah is a Kittitian born in Jamaica. And this was revealed on the Onstage program with host Winford Williams, who interviewed Byron himself.
This is where we meet the Jamaican-born dancehall artist who is said to have the biggest dancehall track on the planet right now.
Say you're bad from which part? Tell up we no gon' dip that.
But why does he reside in St. Kitts? The artist goes by the name Byron Messiah, who joins us right now, right here on our stage to answer. Byron, sir.
Allah.
Blessed love, sir.
Allah, skilly.
So why are you based in St. Kitts?
You know, I migrated when I was 2 months old from Jamaica. I was adopted.
So you're barely Jamaican. You are. You were conceived and born here, right?
Right.
Good. So you're Jamaican, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But do you accept that? You're a Jamaican?
Of course.
So your parents moved from Jamaica, or one of them, your mom?
No, none of the above, to be honest.
No?
Yeah, a lady who she was a good friend with. Yeah, I just call her my auntie still,
Yes.
Yeah, she just took me still because I don't know the situation my mother was in at the time, etc. Yeah, it wasn't a healthy environment, etc. as well. So, yeah.
So you were adopted
Mm-hmm.
by both parents in St. Kitts?
Well, you could say I had 2 mother figures, my sister and the lady that I'm calling my mother today. Yeah.
And your real mom?
Mm-hmm.
Is she still around?
I mean, yeah, she lives in Jamaica up to today,
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a relationship?
I mean, yeah, slightly, but yeah.
Slightly,
building
but
it still, man,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adopted at the age of 2 months, 2 months old. He's 23. He has nothing Jamaican, does he? But the whole Caribbean seemed to be fighting for Byron Messiah since he got the keys to St. Kitts and Nevis.
St. Kitts?
Yeah.
You are the biggest thing on that island, aren't you?
I mean, yeah.
Whoa! So should Jamaicans fight for you then? I say, come on, boy.
It's been happening right now. It's a big debate over the internet right now.
Yeah?
Every time we go up on my phone and scroll through, we just see people argue and say, nah, I'm a Kittitian, nah, I'm a Jamaican, this and that. To Trinidadians even I step in and say, nah, I'm a one we,
Yes, even Trinidad one,
Ethnicities are fighting over me right now. It's crazy,
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I love to see it. Right.
All of us
One Caribbean
are the same,
right.
of course.
One Caribbean. But we must commend his adopted parents here in St. Kitts, Tammy and Jenny. They have obviously done a good job to nurture this baby from 2 months old. I'm sure they never anticipated he would be an international star. But we wish him well. We pray for him. Pray that he stays on the straight and narrow. Because in today's world, today's metric world, it's not easy. My second observation, my Straight Dog family, again, relates to the music festival. And just like I missed you on Thursday, gone, so too I missed the music festival. And wish it could be for several more days. Because as long as the festival is on, so too is my running water. My running water was on for all the festival days. I didn't have to run to the shower before 7 o'clock at nights and wait until early mornings. And it's like some people didn't get water at all. But no doubt, thinking that most of the visitors have returned to their home countries, Congress instructed the Water Services Department to get back to our daily rationing as of yesterday, Sunday, 25th of June. It took me by surprise, and it went pretty early yesterday as well. But this minister surely does nothing but board his flights and travel all over the world at the expense of we, the taxpayers. That's all he does. Boards his flight and travels all over the world at the expense of we, the taxpayers, my straight girl family. But he has yet to deliver one public good, whether water, electricity, and even water he promised for the last 10 months. He promised that he would go to reverse osmosis. Remember this?
An adequate, reliable, and safe supply of potable water is essential to the health and development of our nation. In this regard, Cabinet approved a proposal for the construction of a 3 million gallon per day seawater reverse osmosis desalination plant. The approved project will also include a 2 megawatt wind farm which will power the desalination plant.
He promised that since January. It's now going on to soon July. And we wait with a bated breath. We know he promised us some water as well from BEAD. That all they can do is bleed, the treasury. But we will see and we'll wait. My third observation, my straight dog family, relates to a son of the soil who was recognized today in honor of Caribbean American Heritage Month. The physician affiliate group of New York, PAGNY, featured our own Dr. Cameron A. Wilkinson, CBE, CSM, MD, MBBS, FCCS, FACS. Featured Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, and we all must be proud. We all must be proud, my street dog family. We must be proud because in July 2021, the International Monetary Fund commended the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for its successful management of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the severe impact of the pandemic on tourism-independent economies, and in fact, our tourism-dependent economy, the timely implementation, my street dog family, of national health policies. It was Dr. Wilkinson and of course CMO Dr. Laws who played a vital role in developing and kept domestic infections in 2020 the lowest in the entire Western Hemisphere. Born in St. Kitts, of course, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson is someone who graduated at the top of his high school class and won the coveted state scholarship, after which he earned his Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degrees, following a 7-year sojourn at the University of the West Indies. He received awards for his distinguished scholarship in surgery, medicine, and therapeutics at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Barbados. And Dr. Wilkinson took his hopeful ethos to the United States of America when he began his general surgery residence at the New York City Health and Plus hospitals in Harlem. And that opportunity provided care to the Harlem community, and his Caribbean American brothers and sisters proved to be a fulfilling one. As a resident, he received the Program Director's Prize for his outstanding work as chief resident and received a citation for outstanding service to the greater Harlem community. Dr. Wilkinson returned home to the Caribbean, home in St. Kitts, where he engaged deeply with the health sector of his community. He eventually became the chief surgeon and medical chief of staff of the Health Institute in St. Kitts. The president of the University of the West Indies Alumni Association and the Caribbean College Surgeons, and a clinical lecturer at Windsor University School of Medicine and the University of Medicine and Health Sciences in St. Kitts. He then earned the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire at Buckingham Palace, which was by King Charles for his contributions to the field of medicine in January 2020. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Wilkinson was at the forefront of the Caribbean nation's fight, of our fight against the virus. And for this, he received the Companion of Star of Merit, CSM Award, for outstanding performance in a national crisis. My Street Dog family, in 2022, just last year, following the change of government, Dr. Wilkinson was forced to make the choice to return to the hospital in health in Harlem, the hospital where he refined his medical education decades before as an attending surgeon in general surgery, surgical endoscopy, and trauma. My Street Dog family, from me to you, Cameron, I wish to say at this time on behalf of the Stray Dog family, all I wish to say, my brother, is keep moving on. And my final observation for tonight is in the form of a public plea. My final observation is in the form of a public plea to the Minister of Tourism, Marsha Henderson. And Minister Henderson, I ask you, please, tomorrow morning, take a walk downstairs from your office and observe the state of the public bathrooms at the Pelican Mall. Please, I ask you, Minister, to take a walk downstairs to the public bathrooms. I can tell you about the male bathroom. I had no access to the female. And I believe that you will be embarrassed, as I was a few days ago, And that picture that is posted on my screen right now is worth 1,000 words. And let me say from the onset, I do not blame you, Madam Minister, even though you are in office for the last 10 months. But I'm aware that you inherited those bathrooms from your predecessor, who I begged to address them years ago, even when I was in the cabinet. They came to the cabinet on one occasion, and they said they have addressed the bathrooms. And I don't know if any of us recall, they then placed about 10 porta potties on the outside. And I was further embarrassed to see those porta potties outside our front room. Lots of foot traffic from the cruise ships. Lots of cruise passengers traverse that area through the mall and try to use the toilets. And I know, Minister, if you see them, you will be embarrassed just like I was. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you have not seen them. I don't know who manages them all. But I'm depending on you, Minister Marshall, to improve the sanitation in our front room there at the Pelican Mall. Do it long before the season comes around. And those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Dog family. And I hasten to move towards my short thesis tonight, which is titled The Conduct of Two Wutless Experts. And as I said before, when our elders referred to anyone as being wutless, it was often coupled with the words good for nothing. They would describe a troublemaker, for example, in the neighborhood as a wutless good for nothing. All it meant was that this individual or these individuals never cared one tooth, one hair about people or getting into trouble. And I submit there are two wutless experts in government who hide behind their angelic features, but they have been exposed by their clear felonious conduct. They both seem to support a two-tiered system of justice and the propensity to take money out of the pockets of the poor, ordinary man and woman in St. Kitts and Nevis. One of them, as I mentioned earlier, heads the government. He's the prime minister. And the other is the chief legal advisor, or legal advisor. He's the Federation's chief law enforcement officer, Attorney Garth Lucian Wilkin, is a perfect example of this quality found in some of our current leaders in government who claim to be experts, but yet continue to make some really stupid, absurd, foolish mistakes. I listened to this comment from Garth Lucian Wilkin, the content of which described his own actions. The content described his very actions, his felonious actions at that, my Straight Dog family.
If you caught with the 5 trees if you don't have your license, you can get a ticket for $50. And if you don't pay your ticket, then you can do community service. And in default of doing the community service, then I think the penalty is maybe 3 days. So you have to be really wutless to reach to the stage where you actually go to prison.
So my Straight Dog family, you see where I got the wutless from? Garth Lucian Wilkin has what I call the unmitigated gall or the brazen boldness to speak about wutlessness, because he did not go to prison, or for that matter was not even prosecuted for the criminal offenses he committed before and after he was appointed as Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. Yes, 3 or the following day after being elected President of the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association, he paid his arrears in social security contributions on behalf of his nanny. Then he went 12 months before he ever paid again. 12 months in arrears. And the very day before he was appointed Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, he ran to the Social Security and paid those arrears in contributions. And believe it or not, after he became Attorney General, he never paid again for 5 months. 5 months. He violated the law on so many occasions, my Street Dog family. The actions of Garth Lucian Wilkin, my Street Dog family, according to the opinion of a judge, constituted a criminal offense. And his actions were condemned, even by his very own and hardcore supporters of government, or the government which he serves, my Street Dog family.
The reason why it's not going away, you have to recognize that Mr. Wilkin was the president of the Bar Association. Mr. Wilkin is now the Attorney General. Our Prime Minister is the Minister of Social Security, which is very big with the government, as you know. Government has a major say in Social Security. These are the things that are hampering, in addition to the report. I read the report or the judgment from the court, and the judgment is very damning for somebody of that caliber, and that is why it is creating a problem in people's minds, and those of us who decide to speak on it, because we have guts. That is those are the reasons why you see it's creating a problem. So let us don't run away from it. I don't know what the final decision will be from a government standpoint, but it doesn't look good, because you have to recognize every time Mr. Wilkin will try to address matters going forward, even legitimately, this is going to dog him. So it's going to be a very tough one for the next 5 years.
It ought to be tough, yes. And I met Miss Bennett Byron, some days ago, last week, to be exact. And we had a good chat. She's never out of words. Told me she never lost a battle. And I believe we need some more Gwyneth Byrons in this country who will speak their mind once they are grounded in the truth. But our current leader, Dr. Drew, on the other hand, has failed to understand thus far what the office of Prime Minister or what the country needs, also what the people deserve and what he needs to do to help them to get what they deserve. Dr. Terence Michael Drew is our fourth Prime Minister. And when compared with the other 3 prime ministers who served this country, Simmons, Douglas, and Harris, there was none so reckless as Dr. Drew. What kind of human being, for example, would commit to purchasing 50 new dialysis machines only to uncover it was a big, terrible lie by his own confession, my Street Dog family? Dr. Drew informed the country that he procured 15 new dialysis machines.
I want to get into the issue of the Ministry of Health, which I'll speak to as well. We have a number of critical things that have taken place there. For example, we have new dialysis machines, about 15 of them. I'll get into that have arrived. We'll have the official presentation tomorrow.
15 new dialysis machines inform the country have arrived. But suddenly, he got caught and he backpedaled and made this confession.
When we got these machines, it was in the winter. And because it was in the winter, you couldn't ship them because whatever substances they have in their structure, the cold would freeze it. And so we took the decision to store them in a warm storage area. That is why they didn't come earlier. And then once spring came and the temperature went back up, that is when we decided to ship them to St. Kitts and Nevis. So they're in very good stead. We have turned them on, and the vast majority of them are in condition.
And my Street Dog family, he continues to perpetuate this lie. Because not one machine was turned on. As the technical staff at the Joseph N. France General Hospital, who were not consulted, didn't have a clue, no manuals, no history on these machines. He got these second-hand machines in the winter, as he said, and was fearful that whatever substance was in the structure of these machines, the cold would freeze it. He said he took the decision to place them in a warm storage area until spring, when the temperature went up, and the decision was made to ship them. And my Stray Dog family, this must be a serious indictment against the Prime Minister, as these machines are more than likely contaminated and can cause chemical toxicity and adverse effects to patients that will lead to a range of clinical outcomes. Such outcomes include, but are not limited to, seizures, speech difficulties, nausea, hypertension, diarrhea, and sadly death. But what happens during hemodialysis, my Street Dog family? Let's take a walk through this, my Street Dog family. And you can see, my Street Dog family, the dialyzer. You can look at this on your screen, my Street Dog family, and see where the nurse places 2 needles in your arm. Why is this moving around? Places 2 needles in your arm. You see the arm there, my Street Dog family. And each needle is attached to a soft tube connected to the dialysis machine. And you can see quite clearly again that the process, then there is the filter. See that filter there, my Street Dog family. Your blood flows inside hollow fibers. That filter, beg your pardon, outweighs an extra salt and water. So why is it important to know if the substance in the structure of the machines, as the Prime Minister intimated, why is it important to know if the machines were contaminated? It's simple. It doesn't take a doctor to tell you that your hemodialysis, or during your hemodialysis, your blood is pumped through the filter called the dialyzer and returns the blood to your body. As you see from that movement, all there goes around through the filter here and then comes back into your body. My Straight Dog family, during that process, the dialysis machine checks your blood pressure and controls how quickly blood flows through the filter. Fluid is removed from your body. But what happens to your blood while it's in the filter? The filtered blood remains in the hollow fibers and returns to your body. My Stray Dog family, Drew, in very short order, has come to be known as someone who has a complete disregard for the truth. In 10 months, Terence Drew has built a reputation that is certainly not based on the view that he tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I always found it so sad as a politician myself when voters generally do not consider politicians to be particularly trustworthy. The Prime Minister's relation with the truth has come under intense scrutiny at every one of his press conferences. He has refused to give full explanations on the questions posed by reporters. Dr. Drew has faced questions about the CBI passports, which he has bluntly refused to respond to or to answer at any one time. And we must continue to press for the answers, my Stray Dog family, because it is important that he answer these straightforward and important questions.
Good morning, Lusher and Dixon, St. Kitts Nevis Observer. Mr. Prime Minister, when you first got elected, you promised that your admin would implement principles of good governance, integrity in public life, transparency, and accountability. Since November, the Observer had been asking about the number of passports issued to date under the CBI program and the certificates of registration you signed since taking office. We have been informed that over 30,000 passports have been sold under the CPI in total. This will concern the population of 55,000 here in St. Kitts and Nevis. What is your response to these claims?
Not one response. Shouldn't we, as Kittitians and Nevisians, be concerned that there are 30,000 and more fellow citizens out there in the world, from Russia, from China, from the UAE, from Iran, and some from Iraq came in under Douglas's tenure. But Prime Minister Drew has shown time and time again that he's not qualified to serve. His Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin has blatantly violated his constitutional oath and duty to our nation and its people. It is sheer incompetence at best. And the Kittitian and Nevisian people deserve a Prime Minister and an Attorney General who will actually do an honest job. Both of them hustled to the Parliament days before our 25th Music Festival to pass bills in order to ensure that St. Kitts Nevis hosts the first major cannabis-friendly music festival in the OECS. The St. Kitts Music Festival is the #1 festival in the Caribbean. So what? So what benefits could be derived from making it cannabis friendly?
Right now, St. Kitts Music Festival, I think, is the premier festival of the Caribbean. And I'm a Jamaican telling you this. You know, we have Reggae Sumfest, we have Sez, we have Sting. I'm going to go around, I'm going to hide and talk. St. Kitts Music Festival is the premier festival of the Caribbean. I'm going to hide. Fireman, allow me to tell?
Give it real talk.
Yeah, it's facts. Like, you guys doing great, you know. I went to the venue last night, everything was smooth. I never have no police harass me. I never have no trouble. Me never have no farmer. The only thing I had last night was joy. You know, and I couldn't do that at some fest. Sorry, some fest. We love you all, but honestly, we know I forgot to tap it up right now. St. Kitts Music Festival at lead.
Leading festival. So how much better can it get after 25 years if it is the best? The new legislation passed includes the Smoking Designated Areas Bill, which aim to designate specific public places where smoking is allowed. The bill also prohibits smoking outside of these designated areas in public places, while also dealing with incidental matters. According to the Minister of Tourism, Marge Hendrickson, by embracing a cannabis-friendly festival atmosphere, she is preparing St. Kitts and Nevis to venture into the market of cannabis tourism.
This year we are proposing that the festival be 420 friendly. We are currently working with the legal team and security forces to discuss this plan, and more information, of course, will be provided to you over the next few weeks. But as we talk on diversifying our offerings and products, those of you who have been following us would see that we want to venture into cannabis tourism, and this is one of the pilot projects that we would venture into as we continue our efforts to diversify our offerings as a destination.
But my Stray Dog family, I submit, it is much more than that. This Jew administration is trying to re-establish or establish a relationship between the Rasta communities and the Labour Party. So they rushed the second reading of two other bills entitled Rastafari Rights Recognition Bill 2023, which had its first reading on the 25th of May 2023, and the Freedom of Conscience Cannabis Bill 2023, which had its first reading on the 12th of June 2023. But this was never enough to reconcile their way of thinking with Jah Rastafari, with whom they obviously had no consultation, my Straight Dog family.
That bill that was outlined as a part of legislation, it wasn't have the full discussion of the Rastafari community and all. For instance, next week Friday, we'll be in the Kayan area, upper Kayan, and we'll be having a ceremonial gathering to mark the speech that was made in 1936 at the League of Nations by His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I. And we have to go and apply to the CMO for us to have a designated area to smoke up in that area where we're going in Upper Kayan. There's so much hindering in that legislation there. That's why you see the Premier would another traitor. Anytime the Rastafari community and the people will suffer from those challenges over the years of brutality, humiliation, kick down in front of their own children, and I tell us we must try to cope with of using it and having it in front of our youth. You all are sick women here, you know. Leave the herb alone and leave the people them alone who use the herb.
My Stray Dog family, the Drugs Prevention and Abatement of the Misuse and Abuse of Drugs Amendment Bill 2023, which had its first reading on the 25th of May 2023, was also approved in the last Parliament. And concerns were also raised about the future, and rightly so, by well-meaning and patriotic citizens like this one, my Straight Dog family.
I must say that I fully support the former Prime Minister in what he says about the use of it. I also would say that in about 2-3 years' time, we will begin to see the effect and of the youth here in the form that it's being promoted. We will better see the consequences. And the New York Times had something the other day. They did some They did some research, and they found that after 2 years of it being freed up in New York, that teachers are complaining that children are coming to school high. They're coming to school high, they are sleeping, they're coming to school at all sort of hours, and their mind is not clear. So that's the other part of it, because it will trickle down to the young people, and with their youth, the brain is not yet fully developed, and we will begin to see the effects of this.
But yes, my Street Dog family, we will see the effects of this, my Street Dog family. So I ask the question, where does all of this leave us as a country with respect to the use of cannabis and its derivatives for medical or medicinal and scientific purposes? And the recommendations there in the report of the Marijuana Commission that considered the perceived impediments to economic opportunities in the cannabis industry and medical research, also access to medicine that can heal persons more effectively and cheaply than traditional pharmaceuticals. Let us not fool ourselves, as there is a nexus between cannabis and the peoples of the Caribbean, which has profound historical, cultural, and religious significance. It can be traced back to several ethnic, religious, and cultural traditions within Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, and was historically accepted as a substance with healing properties. During the post-emancipation period, cannabis was introduced to the Caribbean countries of Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, also Jamaica, by East Indian indentured laborers, and its use spread to many other countries, including St. Kitts and Nevis, with the advent of regular inter-island cargo and passenger services provided by vessels owned by the West Indies Shipping Corporation. And I'm sure we remember the vessels, the Federal Palm and the Federal Maple. Back then, my Street Dog family. Lest we forget, the St. Kitts Nevis Marijuana Commission was put together by the Cabinet in April of 2017 and given a mandate to accomplish the following objectives. 1, to conduct a situational analysis and explore the latest evidence regarding the legal, medical, social, economic, and religious implications of the use and abuse of marijuana and its derivatives. And 2, to engage all the people of the Federation through town hall meetings and focus group discussions. And the commission was comprised of many. Dr. Hazel Laws, for example, Chief Medical Officer, was the chair. Andrew Michel, Assistant Commissioner of Police, represented law enforcement. Dr. Garfield Alexander, President of St. Kitts and Nevis Medical and Dental Association. Reverend Canon Alistair Rollins. Ras Aya, Samanda Reed, representative of the Rastafari community. And the list goes on, my Street Dog family. There were some 11 persons, I believe, on that particular commission. The Marijuana Commission, employed mixed methods to gather data in order to fulfill its mandates. Primary data were obtained from national consultations, including town hall meetings and focus group discussions, in order to obtain in-depth information. And secondary data were obtained from several sources. The Commission began its work on the 5th of October 2017, and 15 months later, on the 10th of January 2019, presented its report to the Office of the Prime Minister. Cabinet, on the Monday, the 18th of February 2019, over there in Nevis, I recall, deliberated on the report and engaged the commissioners on this report. The said report established important signposts and has given guidance to the government. There was also established a cannabis implementation core committee that included experts from the legal and medical professions, the business and religious communities, research and development, cannabis standards, and substantial representation from the Rastafarian community. The said report, dated February 24, 2020, encompasses the findings and recommendations of the above-cited committee, which was commissioned by the cabinet in order to give guidance, my Straight Dog family, to the government in respect of the cannabis legislation and other pertinent issues. My Straight Dog family, the CIC opined as well that pursuant to the High Court ruling, the constitutional rights of citizens are supreme, and for that reason, cannabis should be permitted for sacramental use. So the government should offer some type of social and development assistance, it recommended, to the Rastafarian community and traditional growers of cannabis in recognition of the struggles that they have endured over the years. And my Straight Dog family, in conclusion, we ask, what is the current disposition of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority? The Minister of Agriculture, Samuel Duggins, said there's money on trees, my Straight Dog family.
Marijuana industry, as we have heard, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And we have been dragging at a snail's pace in getting involved. And I could not understand for the life of me why. Literally growing money on trees. But yet somehow, we don't want to participate. But I dare say, that era is over. And it's now a new day. And a better way. So in 2023, expect a vibrant, thriving marijuana industry. Literally growing money on trees.
Not a laughing matter, but 2023 will soon be done. And although I have heard lots of things about agriculture, and more recently about the engagement of the veterinary doctor from Trinidad and Tobago, also the misappropriation of funds at the department and the performance of the permanent secretary, I am not prepared to add Minister Duggins as a third Wutless expert in cabinet. But many see this industry as an opportunity for those who have been unjustly punished to get some form of restorative justice. Rastafarians in particular elicit some sympathy for historic injustices dealt by the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force and the Royal St. Kitts Nevis Police Force. Straight Talk is therefore challenging the two Wutless experts, Terence Michael Drew and Garth Lucian Wilkin, to tell the Federation when the Cabinet will, 1, formulate an equitable land use policy for marijuana cultivation. 2, when will they identify areas where land will be allocated to medicinal marijuana crop farmers? 3, when will they determine the various types of license to be issued and the cost of these licenses? And 4, would preferential consideration be given in terms of costs to local farmers and local entrepreneurs? Focus on the bills to facilitate personal cultivation by adults of cannabis for private use in a secured area within a private residence, and the personal possession and use of cannabis in certain public places within designated smoking areas for enjoyment of a person's freedom of conscience including freedom of thought and of religion, and for related matters, is nothing, I say, but a distraction from the conduct of two worthless experts, namely Prime Minister Terence Michael Drew and Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, Garth Lucien Wilkin. That's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines at 4 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour. I will entertain your calls and your emails. And before I open the lines, and I'll do that just now in a few seconds, I always like to implore you to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships, my Straight Dog family. And in the process of doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, at 5 past the 9 o'clock hour, let's go to the lines and say good night to our first caller. Hello, caller.
What up, my beloved brother?
What's up, my brother?
In the name of our great African ancestors, especially Queen Nzinga and King Garvey. How are you doing tonight, beloved?
I am peaceful,
How's
my
the
brother.
family?
I am peaceful. The family is fine. What about yours?
Good, man. Good. All is well, brother. All is well with me personally, but it's more than me, beloved brother. Why my people, African people globally are not all right, I am not all right. Brother, those two JAs in the boy from St. Peter and that mulatto boy. What's wrong in majority of our people in Liamiga and Owali? What, they don't have no fighting spirit in them no more? No African warriors or warrior spirit in them? They're coming all the way up. We say from the 1900s coming all the way up until late 70s. And our hit is Black Power movement. Beloved, where is that spirit? Where is that spirit? The amount of things that is bringing up on our people. Let me just deal with the Caribbean. It's a shame and a disgrace. And it's a dishonor to our ancestors who fought those great struggles and make those great gains. Like we're going in reverse. We're going in reverse. And these polycrucians who have no love for our people, especially financially poor people, man. And you see what I blame people who voted for them. We had an alright administration, a good administration from 2015. But they mash up that. They mash it up. By Brother Bradley, Sean, and I will give that Harris some blame to Brother Patches, because I speak with no water in my mouth.
Talk the truth.
But, beloved, is the people. You want to tell me after Team Unit administration, you had to go back to that famine, that evil empire, misled by that young boy from St. Peter. And look what we reaping. Look at what we reaping now. Look at what we reaping. Brother, let me think. I know there's people want to speak. Brother, I am all for legalization of herb. People call it all kind of different names. Marijuana, ganja, this, that, campy weed. I'm all for that. For the first thing is for medicinal and scientific use, beloved brother. I don't smoke. I don't smoke. But then, because our people, especially financially poor people, get all kind of records where they had so-called criminal records for a little bit, just a little bit like a spliff or two in their possession. They couldn't get the green card. They couldn't get a visitor's visa to go thing. They couldn't even get things to go to colleges and universities. I graduate immunity. I don't know what is status of that now. You know, but all of that, I'm all for that. But what I am totally against, beloved, that none of our children under the age of 25 years should be smoking. Let me repeat that. Who want to be mad? I speak scientifically. No one under 25 years supposed to be smoking, because fully developed brain is when you attain 25 years and over. No one should be smoking, beloved. But, you know, people going to do what other people encourage them to do. And I call on my Rastafarian brothers and sisters who smoke, don't encourage your children to do that. Wait until, if they want to do that, let them wait until they're 25 years if they want to indulge in smoking herb, because that could damage their brains, and that is scientifically. And I am saying, brother, that any financial reward on a thing with herb, it must, the Rastafari movement must be front and center, nobody else, because the terrorism under Bratcher and his regime, led by the defense force and the police force, them times in the 70s was a reign of terror. I know that, beloved.
Okay.
Rastafari went through, Barians went through too much. We couldn't go to school with our locks. I refuse to bow to Bratcher them, but it's not about me, brother. It's not just about me.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one can make me bow, buckle up, bend. I'd rather make my transition and stand up for my principles and my philosophy. I don't care what they do to me. I will stand up for my philosophy and my principles. But I'm saying Rastafari movement must benefit financially. And money has to be made, and we must be in every aspect. Any committee, we must chair that committee or co-chair that committee. Can't bring in no boy from anywhere, any girl from anywhere who don't look like us, and then they get the full thing benefit financially. Nah, man. Can't happen. And let me say to our people in closing, sisters and brothers, get that African warriors and warrior spirit and stand up for your rights. Stand up. Whether you support which party or political movement, say if they're wrong, you stand up, you speak up speak out against them and make sure you do the right thing. What we need, and I've been saying this for years, we need a Pan-African political movement. I mean, I'm getting up there in age. I'm 64 years. I'll be 65 in December. You need young sisters and brothers who are Pan-Africanists, and that political movement must be led by them. Brother, thanks again for hearing me keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism, my place. One love, my beloved brother.
One love, my brother. Nabu, I've heard you in a long time. You're never out of words, certainly. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your line. Hello, caller.
Good night. You can hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear, my dear lady.
Nabu, good night. I always calling at the same time when you're calling. Good thoughts. Keep it up. Mr. Liburd, did you go to the music festival?
No, I did not.
Hello?
No, I did not.
Oh, because I was calling and I couldn't get an answer. So I was saying that it's your program, but I think you should talk for the visitors to know what they're doing since they're in. And in only joyride every week. And people so ashamed of what they're doing and still bigging them up, turning away people, holding up people land. That's what they cheat their way in to do. The festival, nothing new. So nothing to glad about. And the Labour bus and taxi man bawling, saying the minister had meeting with them up till now. What she said she gonna do, she ain't doing it. I don't know. We have to stand up for our right. So if we're gonna let them come and to do so again from 20 years ago, think it's gone in. You know, if the pastor does send the pet money to the pet people all over the world still for the grass and want to say every 6 months is the 1,005 have them. Mr. Liburd, water used to go 8 o'clock. And since the festival, no water went. But I don't know if they're going to take it out again. See you.
That's not quite accurate because my water went, in fact, last night pretty early, about 7 o'clock. My Straight Dog family, it's 14 past the 9 o'clock hour. Let's go back to the lines. Caller. Yes, the live caller. Greetings, my brother.
Patona love and joy. How you night going, brother Patches?
Peaceful, my brother. And you?
I give thanks. I hear in the shores of Nevis, right now in the area where they say the birthplace for the first premier of Nevis, and I'm having ganja on me. You see? Smoking ganja freely, without any hesitation.
You're in a, what you call the area again? You're in a smoke-free area? That's what they call it? Yeah.
The smoke-free area, I mean the almighty freedom area.
Okay.
And in a mankind area. Okay. I mean, I fear nothing what these billy are coming with. But blessed love and joy to you and your people in your program tonight called Straight Talk. And you outline what you're delivering as your emphasis to put as a discussion to the people of St. Kitts and the wider world. Now you make some clips they're playing indicating about the bill that went into Parliament as a rush bill, which I applaud that was a rush bill, but that cannot be a detail in how we as Rastafari, because we are in a Farian, number one. Number two, we are not religious. Number three, we are not Rastafariism. Our name is confined by His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, which when he was at the birth age, he was lynched Rastafari. That's why we carry ourselves in the identity of his name. You see? Rastafari. So we want to put that straight to that minister who we call himself a deputy prime minister. I said this here without any fear of favor, you know. Because a monsterization them are put on our people. When you come with this hotel talking about legislation going into Parliament, which in the format, they know do what the judge tell you all from the former administration to this administration. Up to now, you all respect that, you know. Change all your policy, what I have as a jug act, infringing against the constitutional right of the Rastafari. Up to now, that is not changed. We are not no juggler down here. Tell America and all who supporting all these government in this Caribbean region that our people are not jugglers. If we were, we'd be able to do what we need to be done long time and not wait on these kind of ways that we've seen going on here into this kind of level that they say is as a part of law-making body. So me no fear to challenge not even the prime minister of Antigua and Barbuda, not even the prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and even prime minister of Barbados, because me and Marley, them not ready yet, you know. Them not ready yet. I need to stop playing people motion like that, Regine. It's a sickening to see how they do Rastafari people unto this day. And the Regine would just call all up. My approach is say, you say Rastafari shouldn't encourage their children to smoke herb You say you're dealing from a scientific leverage. We're dealing from a spiritual leverage. So more greater in the Almighty. Let us put that on the table. Because we now fight and fuss here, we want a reason. And we're not trying to push things down in the throat. You don't smoke herb, but you love the herb. So those who smoke it, respect us. Those who don't smoke, we respect them. Because we now force none nobody throat down here in the St. Kitts and in the entire world. This is what I vision. That is time now we bring this discussion to the respectful way it's supposed to. Because that is why I tell you all when you all had the discussion with the commission. It needs to be respected. They even ask about which age group we think we should utilize for youth to think. And here the Prime Minister of that time, Timothy Harris, indicating that the CARICOM Commission had said is 21. Well, we tell even the CARICOM Commission said that we have a mind of our own. We have seen our youth develop through the use of herb, not by smoking, but seeing the parents them around them in the value and the guide them safely. So why is it that we still taking our young generation like that? You have something to say?
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ras.
You can speak.
Right?
Go ahead.
In relation to the Rastafari Rights Recognition Bill that was passed, I mean, what is or was your reaction to that particular bill? It speaks about Rastafari group and means the tribe and community and all sorts of things. What is
Number one? Number one, we are not a tribe. And that's why you see the status of the crisis for us that they're putting us in a basket that is not respectful still in the society.
Mm-hmm.
We're not still respected. So I find these things will just help keep their momentum what they want trying to emphasize within economical basis for their own purpose. And they sit under a farm administration that like that. Because you outline about the core committee and all and that now even solve the purpose. So we tell from the commission, the recommendation we give to you about public education, the core committee didn't do that. Even the licensing authority didn't do that. So these things are still hindrance to what we are able to put forward as a group. And even as not just Rastafari, for the people who have suffered under those kind of initiation of those wrong infiltration by the American government and the European administration, followed by Britain and all those others who I have international ties with. It's a shame to see how go to this day. We say we are a sovereign state and we still bound to criminal people. People fighting against people human rights. I still about to them demon there. The whole joke is system around here. It is a block in the fire with truth and justice and righteousness. You see what we speak? Not to destroy you, but we lie our people to understand the Almighty and not mankind, because mankind already yet. But love you, my brethren. We are seeing that it's time now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know it gets a little bit emotional and so on, right? But what is the way forward? What does the Rastafari community consider as the best way forward?
My view on how I'm a representative of the Naya Bingiti Akusiyada, being the PRO for Naya Bingiti Akusiyada for a period of time now, since 2015 and it's 2023, I give thanks to the powers of the Almighty Highly Selassie for giving I that will and understanding to go forth and acknowledge what is right and how wrong go. Now, you ask a question of what is the Rastafari position to go forward and see something more entail with our society. Number one, I always put it on the backbone of Rastafari. We need to go and do community orientation. Because when we do that, we're able to align our people wisely of these things that we're facing unto this day. Enough man told me that because I don't have a bachelor, I don't have a master's. They feel that these are not necessary, but we fall back on the same aspect of what we're facing now. So if we have done those things a long time, we are able to know how to mobilize our people and put our people into proper status of what they are saying in the court of the industry. Because you could say that the Minister of Agriculture said money before managing in this industry. But what they are giving the people in the full tone that the industry could go up and could go down. We have to know how to labor ourselves when the industry is down. What are we going to do when the market is fall at a certain level? How we will project ourselves moving along to that market? That is the thing that we have to be able to standard in these moments. I tell you, I'm in college, but I study the way of this world, of how they emphasize economics and our people. I'm glad me know it's neither because I know how to move. So these are the way we could go forward. This is not just the only way, but these are methods that we can take and move along if we really serious about helping and stabilizing and developing our people to run way forward in this industry. That's all I'm saying this time. And I'm not here to say it in any part of this world because I've seen it happen in Jamaica, who was a vast planter, St. Vincent. Look at them today, who controlling the market. The same outsiders. And that is what we're trying to run from, because even on the commission when we had bringing in a consultant here from Jamaica who was able to label Jamaica policies. And one thing he left with us and said, do not let no foreigners come and dominate our market. Is that what happened in Jamaica? He tell us, do not let that occur, because you can cripple our economy. And we got to be cautious. If we ain't cautious, we're going to be detrimental around here. But you see people be begging more than they're earning. So they say, we don't need that. We need justice around here to raise the people, and not just raise the state and let the people them suffering. You have a blessed night. Give thanks.
Have a blessed night as well. Ras Aya, very passionate about the position. But the core committee, yes, is the hope I got that right. I think it's the Cannabis Implementation Core Committee made recommendations to the cabinet, and government is continuous. And one of the recommendations is that traditional growers and citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis should be granted license to cultivate, extract, process, and market cannabis like other foreign companies, but there should be a minimum percentage, I should say, national ownership of 30 to 51% for all licenses. These piecemeal legislation in respect of marijuana, reads this email, is more misleading and confusing than anything else. The Prime Minister has found himself between a rock and a hard place. He wants to please the Rasta community wholeheartedly, simultaneously with the rest of the ordinary citizenry, and so he is totally confused. Read this email. Yes, I believe he is confused. Minister and Ambassador Liburd, now that the Prime Minister has publicly apologized to the Rastafarians, I wonder why he stopped short of offering reparations to them. Using his own words, the way they were treated in the past by law enforcement officers, he apologized. Talk is very cheap, Dr. Joe. Action is significant, therefore I am asking you to pay the Rastafarians at least $5 million compensation. Then we will understand how meaningful your grandstanding in Parliament was. Just don't say you're sorry. Pay them the money. Your Labour Party loaned Antigua $30 million in the past and have not recouped with interest to date. Now your government has given away millions to several foreign entities without question, and I regard $5 million as peanuts change for the Rastafari. Well, as a matter of fact, the bank has written off that $30 million that was owed by the government of Antigua and Barbuda. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
I did.
Yes, sir.
I did.
My dear brother, good night. The Bible man.
How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Oh, so you have a long weekend?
Yes.
Home, you know, went nowhere?
No, I was resting. I took the rest, my brother.
Oh, you rested then?
Yes. The body cried
Here was Psalm 91 said, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High
shall abide under the shadow.
Oh, yeah, you know it, why you know it too?
Yes, I know it, yes.
You know it? So when you dwell under the secret place of the Most High, there shall no evil fall thee.
No.
Neither any plague shall come nigh that you are dwelling.
True.
For he shall give his angel charge over thee, to keep in all thy ways. They shall bear him up in his hand. You understand, Mr. Patrick? No evil shall fall thee. No destruction shall come at noonday. And then here was when Psalm 35 here, fret not yourself because of evildoers, neither be envious against the work of iniquity. For the soul shall cut down like a grass, Mr. Tati. And so I am looking and thinking that when you put your trust in the Lord, God is going to see you through. And Mr. Patrick, Isaiah 54:17, this for you. And I am going to leave this with you. No weapon
formed against you
that form against you shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against thee in judgment shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness of this, said the Lord. That is, no weapon inside or outside shall harm against you. The weapon them going to come, but they are not going to prosper. Why you put your confidence in of the creator of the whole universe? You are saved and you are protected. Mr. Patrick, I wouldn't stay too long. So see you. Have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night as well.
Thank you.
My dear brother. Have a pleasant night as well. This message reads, good night, Patches. There are three major disturbing statements Timothy Harris made at the PLP convention that warrants an apology. The former members of PLP are free to leave the party but must not block the door. This is a threat and must not be allowed to stand. This is a free country and people have a right to express themselves unapologetically, especially about the obnoxious leadership around here. So Timothy and PLP, stop, welcome all. Is it a free country to block the door? I don't understand this. But Mr. Harris passed disparaging remarks on certain former senior functionaries of the unity government. He opined that these high officers were only involved because of the so-called high salary they were receiving. Again, this was out of order and downright naughty rhetoric. Is Harris saying that persons can't be genuine once they start to oppose him? Persons can't be genuine, beg your pardon, once they start to oppose him? I don't understand why so many of his candidates resign, leave him stating the principles are not there. Thirdly, the former PM attacked the legitimacy and credibility of the People's Action Movement Party, a party that he was recently in bed with. In fact, he singled out former popular supporters of PAM and demonstrated that they are now PLP supporters and that PAM is practically dead. Timothy needs to stop fighting PAM. They are not his enemy. Tim Harris, your enemy is Labour. Go in the House and on the air and fight Labour and leave PAM. These remarks were disgusting and questioned Timothy Harris's character and integrity and spoke volumes as to why so many prominent citizens have deserted him. Many of these high officials are asking him to step down as leader of PLP so the country can move forward. This other email reads, the Drew administration's political pettiness is already beyond legendary. Prime Minister Drew administration has taken notoriously petty St. Kitts Nevis politics to a whole new level. We have become accustomed to the victimization, but Drew has taken it to another level. Can you imagine that the OECS anniversary celebrations were held right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, with a plethora of events organized, and the immediate past Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and former chairman of the OECS, Dr. Timothy Harris, was not invited to any of the events? Can you imagine? If you think that's bad, imagine the St. Kitts Music Festival highlighted, featured, and interviewed every St. Kitts Music Festival minister and chairperson, except for those appointed by the Team Unity government between 2015 and 2022. The height of pettiness. Come on, is that the way Drew and Labour promised to do better? Even the venues to have St. Kitts Festival events was politicized. Last Lap is one of the premier spots locally, and they were removed and excluded from hosting any music festival events. I mean, just because the son of a former minister owns a spot, as far as Drew and Marsha are concerned, they're not supposed to host anything for music festival under the Labour government. Lord Manju, are you promised to do better? Then do better, no? Do remember that this country is not your marriage, so you don't get to mash it up as you like, nor is this country a brothel. Make governmental decisions and stop politicizing everything. You are destined to be a one-term prime minister. Never again are we going to vote for you or Labour, reads this email. It's 9:35, my Straight Dog family, and you may have just joined me. And my short thesis tonight, I have entitled The Conduct of Two Wutless Experts. And I made the point about whatlessness and what, as the old people would say, it meant my Straight Dog family. And when we reflect on the days gone by, when our elders referred to anyone as being wutless, as I said, it was often with or coupled with the words good for nothing. For example, they would describe a troublemaker, for example, in the neighborhood as a wutless good for nothing. How many of us remember that? All it meant was that this individual or these individuals never cared about getting into trouble. Let's go back to the lines. I'll get back to that, my Straight Dog family. I'll call you live.
Yeah, Mr. Liburd.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Liburd.
Yes, my dear.
No, you know, the days and the nights are very hot. It's not the fault of ours, right? So we have to use our fan. Now, will 10 men in one take off anything, or when you see the lights bill, in Bamanco lights bill, we have to pay it. And those people in Port Zante, Lord, have to run current every day and having no sale. They must consider them. See you. And get home safely. Because I can't hear you now, nothing. Only could talk. But I'm glad I can talk, and you will answer me. See you.
Have a good night, my dear. And so when we heard of the wutless good for nothing, all it meant that these individuals or this individual never cared about getting into trouble. They never cared about people. And I made the point there are two wutless experts, because there are quite a lot of experts in the government, but there are two wutless experts who hide behind what I call the angelic features, but they have been exposed by their clear felonious conduct. They both seem to support a two-tier justice system. and the propensity to take money, my straight dog family, the propensity to take money out of the pockets of the poor man and woman in St. Kitts and Nevis. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, you're live, my dear brother.
Yeah. Okay, you got me, Patty J. Okay, good night.
Good night, sir.
Oh, you doing good, right?
Well, I put you down the order, so.
Okay, I have much to say tonight because I'm upset with what's going on in our country. Now, Patties, I don't understand what kind of entertainment, wrestling, politics regarding St. Kitts. Because, you know, when I'm a wrestler on TV, entertainment, you gonna tell me, Patches, you standing over me. And they gonna hold me by me here in my head and pull me until I get up and then knock you down and win the fight. Because look what happened here. A farmer leader tell a lady, you hear me, Patches?
Yeah, yes, be hearing you loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Farmer leader tell the lady, and when young Dominic can get a passport, and he say he ain't get it.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Yeah, he say he ain't get the passport. Timothy asked him about it. He bring them all God, he ain't get it. And then he reached to the conclusion with 3 judges had to tell him he's a good for nothing lawyer. And they study and play with he until he edge until he get back into parliament. And now he in parliament so deep that right now we up in Washington, Patches. Right up in Washington. And if they had do what the judge give orders to do, he would not have up there. So you know, I don't understand politicians. Don't play with them. When you find people doing wrong things, suppose to deal with them according. Don't play with nobody. Look what this Taliban government here doing to the country. This wicked man from up Monkey Hill. He and his smart attorney. Look what he doing. He know he attorney break the law, commit a criminal act, and still got him there performing as an attorney general. What example is the two of them showing to the country? Eh? What are they doing? When the attorney general come in talking about penalty for them, if they get with more marijuana than what they're supposed to work with, and what they're supposed to get? Eh? Come on, boys. Come on. Now, let me go to this dialysis machine and then I'm done for the night. That is, I heard a man there last week in a vehicle on a different radio station cussing you because you speak your mind about these used dialysis machine that Dr. Ju say he get 50 of them from Canada. And because of the cold temperature, they got to be stored in a warm place. You know, because of the substance in them. Could whatever it is. Well, could any new machine has substance in them if they've never been used? If they've been used, they're not new. When done, Jew later on in his comment that the majority of them, there should be no majority in nothing new. Don't use the word, say they all new. But because he's telling a big lie to the nation that they were not new and they are new, they are not new. He has to use the word majority. People want you all to listen to that man from Monkey Hill, Terrence joke. He's the biggest liar as a leader in the Caribbean. And he tells so much lies just to stay where he be and make him sound good. Do not let that man there poison nobody with the foolishness them what he bring you about dialysis machine you. People take it serious.
Don't believe nothing that come out of your mouth. Because up to now, questions have been asked to him over and over and over. How many passports has been sold, CBI passport, and he failed to give the answer. Telling people must go so and go so and go so. Go so what? They asking you the question right in front of your face. Talk the truth. But you see, a lawyer has no memory, and he telling lie to stay with me. Anyway, Patches, the last thing I'm going to say, and I go on. You know why the monkey them in sync? It's going to be harassing farmers and everybody who plants something in the yard. Last night I was listening to an interview with those animal rights people in another country. A man has 20 monkeys in his care. And they went in there and they interview him and they tell him, well, he's committing cruelty to animals and he gets 7 years in jail for raising monkey. 7 years. So you see them animal rights going around and they will never allow no government or nobody in St. Kitts to kill monkeys, not even 10. We ain't say we're going to kill all, but they're destroying people ground and we have to eliminate the population. But anyway, Patches, I could say more, but next week or Thursday. Have a good night. Thank you.
Have a good night, my dear brother. Good night, Mr. Liburd. Reads this email. As a former minister yourself, I hope you can shed some light on these issues for me. Firstly, does it take 10 months to get a sit down with the Prime Minister, as I have been waiting at least that long to see Prime Minister Jew? Secondly, can someone lose vacation leave they did not take as a result of admin leave initiated by the government? And what is the process of getting my correct compensation? Lastly, why Development Bank refusing poor people small business loans but considering Allah's $10 million to squander again? Please shed some light for me, please, as many of us are being blacklisted by Labour and government. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Ian Patches Liburd, greetings to you, brother.
Greetings, my brother. How art thou?
Very, very good. What about you?
Oh, I am peaceful, my brother. I'm peaceful.
You have a hefty reasoning tonight, and it's very good. Good for the nation.
Thank you.
And it's good to have the ganja talk, and it's also good to have the Rastafari reasoning. It's very good. And the bill or this legislation that's been put to the House, you know, the ganja reasoning started from back, and here's the laws, the champion, because the front headed the cause in the past. And she did a very good job. I attended some of the town hall sessions that was hosted. Very educational. She did a very good job. And when I read in the Observer pertaining to the bill, it said, and this was the person who put it out, he said the first concern with the bill may be the requirement for registration, but noted that the bill does not call for the registration of an individual. That question was asked to the Attorney General on a program he had on freedom. It was outlining the bills that would be passed before the Assembly. And I remember he got a call, and it was very a concerned call, because you see, you cannot embed Rastafari just in a group. Rastafari individual, because each Rastafari people lives from a spiritual way of life. And they meet on one road from we coming from different houses or family relationship. So I won't really step it to say, well, because you're going to do something, you must just say what you're going to deal with Rasta that's in a group. I think get a good knowledge of the Rastafari community, and I think from there you would know how to reinforce whatever legislation required to enhance the life of the Rastafari people. Every step. The question was asked, if from a Rasta to the Attorney General, is not every Rastafari is with a group. So what the individual concerning the license, and he expressed himself properly pertaining that question. But I thought even putting the legislation in being, you might hear a little more stipulation on the individual reasoning about the Rasta. Because giving license, you first have to recognize, if you really want to say you're trying to ease some of the burden that the Rastafari people having over the past years, at least you must look at those who've been in the cultivation for years as to give them licenses first preference. That's how we look at it, and I think that's how it should be. And even with rendering the apology, it's good that the apology happened under a Labour administration. Why I say that? Because really, what was meted out towards Rastafari in the 70s or the 80s, it wasn't really nice. Because you see, the Rastafari people see it, that they're reading the Bible. As a Rastaman, you have to read the Bible because it's a Christian life. It's a spiritual life from your praising God. You got to see yourself as a Christian. Some see themselves as take on the Western Christianity. It's African Christianity. But it's also you and God. Spirituality is between you and God. And the damage that was made was Rastafari people at the time. It really deserves an apology. It deserves more benefits than ever. But a step is a step. Remember Patrick, John, and Dominico in them times was very ruthless throughout the Caribbean with different Caribbean countries because the life they didn't get. The leaders at the time didn't get a grip of their life, and because they so stick to the status quo of the Westminster system, they didn't really see the fullness of the culture coming from such a spiritual way of life. So every step, Mr. Patches, is a step and a step for reasoning. But I feel this step could be a little more open. Do not feel, well, Rasta is just connected to a group. Rastafari people are individual people as well, living their life praising God. Because Rastafari, you see, many of us who say we are Rasta, we don't really keep the discipline as we should. I, for one, feel Rastafari people in this country should have been frontlining on the entertainment field because we did much of that in the past. I remember we carry show and dance on Seymour Hall, Long Saddlers. We Palm Lodge, and it always a good reception. And I feel we could have been very instrumental, we could making good money from the tourist dollars to entertainment. But because many of us don't see that discipline that we so needed to foster ourselves. Sometimes we just look like we're behind. But Mr. Patches is a good session we're having, and it's good to hear the politicians express themselves, even though we may not feel they're truthful, but it's good to hear them express themselves concerning the realities of the day. Mr. Patches, you continue to stay strong and stay healthy.
Thank you, my dear brother. Sound intervention. And yes, it's some people speak to an opportunity for those who have been unjustly punished, as you spoke of the days in the 1970s, unjustly punished, and it's time for them to get some form of restorative justice. Rastafarians in particular would elicit some sympathy for the historic injustices dealt by the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force and the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force as well. And these are some of the issues that have or ought to come to the fore. But these bills that came in a rush to the Parliament seem to put on the back burner. Maybe my interpretation is bad, right? But it seemed to put on the back burner the need for a framework for development of the medicinal cannabis industry, because it's since 2 years ago that the Cannabis Act number 8 of 2020 came into law after publication in the Extraordinary Gazette number 13 of 2020 on the 21st of February 2020, and it provides for the establishment of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority to regulate, monitor, and control the cultivation, supply, possession, production, and use of medicinal cannabis, and for related matters. It also provides for the lawful access to medicinal cannabis as an alternative treatment for persons who are suffering from a qualifying medical condition, and for a comprehensive licensing scheme. The Act makes further stipulation with respect to the creation of a board with responsibility for the policy, strategic direction, and governance of the authority. And my Straight Talk family, these are the issues that ought to be addressed, and be addressed sooner rather than later. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Honorable Ian Patches, how are you, my brother?
Your humble servant is peaceful, my brother. And yourself?
Patches, boy, from since you leave this thing, boy, your tongue like canary, boy. Pan word is terrible. Anytime I walk there, boy, I gotta abuse the minister. Patches, the people in St. Kitts Nevis want to know why Mr. Lescan left the CBI in St. Kitts. And it seems to the people on the street that all the CBI contacts going to St. Lucia. And the people want to know what's wrong with the Marriott. We want to know if it's a write-off, if the Marriott get all these monies and ain't giving us back will and everything gone. We want to know. Because this smiling fella, Dr. Joe, he just smiling. And the old man just tell me he look like he pigeon them he used to wear in the cage years ago. He just smiling and spinning around in the cage.
Did you mean?
We want to know about the Marriott patches. What you were saying, my brother?
I was trying to clarify the Marriott issue. You mean the Christopher Harbour?
The Christopher Harbour.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
okay.
The Christopher Harbour. We want to know about that baby deal. Because it look like they like them out, you know. Look like they like them out. And they come tell us they could do a better job. And man look like they want to hide information from the country. But I don't think them people go cause me and culture around here, you know. Because I don't come like this Richard. If you ain't bowling the ball between wicket and wicket, you got problem with me. Patches is a serious thing. During the music festival, returning national want to know where the $500 going to the poor people, because they say they're paying it and poor people say they none, they're just giving it to the supporters. And the next thing again, he had some people over the 26th year at the music festival, Patrick, contribute all these years up in the music festival and later gone up there to politicize it. Take away the vote and give the supporters. But you, how are you going to divide the country? How are you going to divide the country? The first time you come out the government is the better idea for this country. Because I can't go and I don't hear the choir. I don't see what's going on. I don't hear in the choir. I mean, the people contribute all these years, Patches, in the music festival. They're going to take the boot from them. Just to try to please the supporters, and the supporters then don't pay the committee. They do not pay them down for money. You understand? This is the problem we got in the country. They say they could do a better job. Let's tell the country and the world they could do a better job, Patches. Patches, you take care.
Have a good night, my brother.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Because I know it cannot be easy. It cannot be easy for this country. Poor people suffering in the country. The business people balling out. Mommy and daddy shop balling. Patches, the balling. The balling. When they try to get out to the MPs, them ain't answering the phone. This is the problem. And it's a serious problem, a very serious problem. Because this thing they were running like this. These guys come and tell the country they're going to do a better job. But I'll reach out to the people. But instead here and keep coming to us, eh? Keep coming to us. Because I don't see what I'm going. Have a good night, Patches.
Have a good night, my dear brother. Jam down. Always forthright, always passionate. As a parent, I am very concerned with this email. I was standing in Morris Hill School and what I saw was very annoying. A herb tree higher than the school wall and the scent of the tree circulating in the school close to that area. I think that young man need to remove those trees. Reads this email. Does smoking make teeth worse? Asks this emailer. Smoking can impact your oral health. People who smoke are at a higher risk of developing mouth cancer, oral, gum problems, losing teeth, decay on the roots of teeth, and complications after tooth removal and gum and oral surgery. Reads this email. Positive effects of cannabis use: control hunger and appetite, pain relief, reduction of asthma attacks, reduce glaucoma, relaxation of euphoria. Negative effects of cannabis use: disorientation, weakened perception, possible increased risk of kills and periodontal disease. Increased risk of inflammation associated with oral mucositis, reads this email, and dry mouth. This other email reads, good night, Patches. We are hearing about all this ganja area for music festival. How come not a word of objection from those hypocrite pastors who campaign so hard for labor? we see why God stoops his teeth when they are praying for crime. God don't like ugly. Let Pastor Williams, Matthew, Isaiah Philip, and Lady Jeffrey go pray about that. Reads this email. Patches, another pastor has been rewarded. Pastor Thompson has now received his pay for all his political prayer and campaigning against the former Unity administration, and he is now appointed as the new director of the Marine Resources Department, replacing Mark Williams, who ran against Douglas. This is why a curse is on the land. Look at all the freak accidents and trouble in these short months. Reads this other email. For years, the tenants and patrons of the Pelican Shopping Mall have been complaining about the state of the bathrooms. In the past, they came patch up one or two things, which was never enough. Right now, they are unbearable, and something needs to be done about them as soon as possible. I don't care who's in power. It is the government's job, and we have been going through this under the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas-led administration, under Team Unity, and now under the Jew-led administration. Honorable Marsha Henderson is there now, and would like for her to have the bathrooms refurbished as soon as possible. And I believe that Marsha would do that. Hi, Patches. What is your best advice for persons who have been allocated lands under the previous administration and are now being held back by the political vengeful Pierce in the Ministry of Sustainable Development, as they are perceived as opposition supporters? Have they paid for the land? They should continue paying for the land. If not, take the legal advice on that matter. It's now, it's 5 minutes past the 10 o'clock hour. My time is done. I was not even aware of that, my Straight Dog family. And you may have joined me late. And I spoke of the two Wutless experts in government who hide behind their angelic features, but they have been exposed by their clear felonious conduct. They both seem to support a two-tier system of justice and the propensity to take money out of the pockets of the poor man and woman in this country. Look at what they did with those poor people on PAP. Thousands have been displaced. Imagine, I was speaking to a friend of mine in the bank who's a staunch supporter of Labour. And when we spoke about the displacement on PAP, he said that Jew has paid dividend. I asked him if he meant the monkey money. He said, what monkey money? I said, yes. A $500 dividend and a $250 dividend is monkey money. And you only get that twice a year. And if you get $500 each month, that's $6,000 per year. And I know mathematics is my strongest weak point. But that has to be $5,000 more than two dividends that have been paid. But my Straight Dog family, that's what they do. They have taken money from the poor man. The Federation's Chief Law Enforcement Officer, Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin, is a perfect example of a Wutless expert, found in some of our current leaders who claim that they're experts, but make so many stupid mistakes. I listened to the Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin, and the content of his comments describe his actions and tells you the kind of individual that he is. I listened to him closely, and this is what he said to the nation.
If you call with the 5 trees without if you don't have your license, you can get a ticket for $50. And if you don't pay your ticket, then you can do community service. And in default of doing the community service, then I think the penalty is maybe 3 days. So you have to be really Wutless to reach to the stage where you actually go to prison.
And Arthur Wilkin has what I called earlier, the unmitigated gall, the brazen boldness to speak about worthlessness. Because he did not go to prison, or for that matter was even prosecuted for the criminal offenses he committed before he became the president of the St. Kitts Bar Association. And he continued to commit these offenses for 12 months, just before he became and was appointed Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs and our Attorney General. His actions must be condemned, and he must continue to condemn his actions even now. Our current leader, Dr. Drew, on the other hand, has failed to understand what the office of Prime Minister or what the country needs, also what the people deserve and what he needs to do to help them to get what they deserve. Dr. Terence Michael Drew is our 4th Prime Minister. And when compared with the other 3 Prime Ministers who served the country, Drs. Simmons, Douglas, and Harris, none of them was so reckless as Drew. What kind of human being would commit to purchasing 50 new dialysis machines only to uncover it was a big, terrible lie by his own confession by his straight dog family? He promised, yes, 15 new dialysis machines. And no matter what you said, this is coming from the mouth of Dr. Drew, not me.
I want to get into the issue of the Ministry of Health, which I'll speak to as well. We have a number of critical things that have taken place there. For example, we have new dialysis machines, about 15 of them. I'll get into that have arrived. We'll have the official presentation tomorrow.
Yes, and he promised the official presentation of these 15 new machines tomorrow. Those were his words. And he got caught and he backpedaled.
When we got these machines, it was in the winter. And because it was in the winter, you couldn't ship them because whatever substances they have in their structure, the cold would freeze it. And so we took the decision to store them in a warm storage area. That is why they didn't come earlier. And then once spring came and the temperature went back up, that is when we decided to ship them to St. Kitts and Nevis. So they're in very good stead. We have turned them on, and the vast majority of them are in condition.
Vast majority of them in condition. But Drew, in very short order, has come to be known as someone who has a complete disregard for the truth. In 10 months, Terence Michael Drew has built a reputation that is certainly not based on the view that he tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The Prime Minister's relationship with the truth has come under intense scrutiny at every one of his press conferences. He has refused to give full explanations on questions posed by reporters or any explanation at all. Prime Minister Drew has shown time and time again that he is not qualified to serve. his Attorney General has blatantly violated his constitutional oath and duty to our nation and its people. My Street of family, both of them hustled to the parliament days before our 25th Music Festival to pass bills to ensure that St. Kitts Nevis hosts the first major cannabis-friendly music festival in the OECS. Why? We ask ourselves, how much better can the festival get after 25 years if it's the best? New legislation passed includes smoking designated areas bill, which aims to designate specific public places where smoking is allowed. The bill also prohibits smoking outside of these designated areas. According to the Minister of Tourism, they are preparing St. Kitts Nevis to venture into the cannabis tourism industry. So in preparation, they have hustled to pass these bills, my Straight Talk family.
This year we are proposing that the festival be 420 friendly. We are currently working with the legal team and security forces to discuss this plan, and more information, of course, will be provided to you over the next few weeks. But as we talk on diversifying our offerings and products, those of you who have been following us would see that we want to venture into cannabis tourism, and this is one of the pilot projects that we would venture into as we continue our efforts to diversify our offerings as a destination.
They tried to patronize the Rastafarian community, and the Labour Party rushed the second reading of two other bills, the Rastafari Rights Recognition Bill and the Freedom of Conscience Cannabis Bill 2023. No consultation whatsoever on these bills.
That bill that was outlined as a part of legislation, it wasn't have the full discussion of the Rastafari community and all. For instance, next week Friday, we'll be in the Kayan area of Upper Kayan, and we'll be having a ceremonial gathering to mark the speech that was made in 1936 at the League of Nations by His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I. And we have to go and apply to the CMO for us to have a designated area to smoke up in that area where we're going in Upper Kayan. There's so much hindering in that legislation there. That's why you see the Premier would another traitor. Anytime you have to fight community and the people will suffer from those challenges or the years of brutality, humiliation, kick down in front of their own children. And I tell us we must try to cope with of using it and having it in front of our youth. They all are sick women here, you know. Leave the herb alone and leave the people them alone who use the herb.
The voice of Rastafari. But thank God, there are still well-meaning and patriotic citizens like this one in our country who we ought to listen to in terms of this advice.
I must say that I fully support the former Prime Minister in what he says about the use of it. I also would say that in about 2-3 years' time, we will begin to see the effect and of the youth here in the form that it's being promoted. We will better see the consequences. And the New York Times had something the other day. They did some research, and they found that after 2 years of it being freed up in New York, that teachers are complaining that children are coming to school high. They're coming to school high, they are sleeping, they're coming to school at all sorts of hours, and their mind is not clear. So that's the other part of it, because it will trickle down to the young people, and with their youth, the brain is not yet fully developed, and we will begin to see the effects of this.
Good night, Patches. I'll take this email that came to the press. I had to email you tonight. Tell Garth Wilkin get his house in order, his wife, his nanny, and his Labour cabinet. Labour is slowly going downhill, and they will not go any further where the voters have the power, and we will vote them out. We will hit the streets because if they slip, they slide, and right now they are slipping. Where does all this leave us as a country, having passed all those bills? With respect to the use of cannabis and its derivatives for medicinal and scientific purposes, and the recommendations there in the report of the Marijuana Commission that considered the perceived impediments to economic opportunities in the cannabis industry and medical research, also access to medicine that can heal persons more effectively and cheaply than traditional pharmaceutical or pharmaceuticals. And let's just not fool ourselves. As I said before, and I'll say in closing, that there's a nexus between cannabis and the peoples of the Caribbean, which has profound historical, cultural, and religious significance that can be traced back to several ethnic, religious, and cultural traditions within Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, and was historically accepted as a substance with healing properties. During the post-emancipation period, cannabis was introduced to the Caribbean countries of Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, also Jamaica, by East Indian indentured laborers, and its use spread to many other countries, including here in St. Kitts and Nevis, with the advent of regular inter-island cargo and passenger services provided by the vessels owned by the West Indies Shipping Corporation of Wisco. Remember the federal palm and the federal maple. But my Straight Dog family, as we wrap tonight, I recall the Marijuana Commission. I recall there was also established a Cannabis Implementation Core Committee. And these two committees submitted their recommendations. One recommendation, it says, notwithstanding that the international narcotic regulations allowed for cannabis use only for research and development or some medicinal purposes, the CICC opined that pursuant to the High Court ruling, the constitutional rights of citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis in the Sankofa matter, the court ruled that these rights are supreme, and for that reason, cannabis should be permitted for sacramental use. As I leave tonight, we ask the questions: what is the current disposition of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, my Straight Dog family? We've heard a lot about money going on trees. But many see this industry as an opportunity for those who have been unjustly punished, as I said before, to get restorative justice. Straight Talk is therefore challenging the two Wutless experts, Prime Minister Joe and AG Garth Lucian Wilkin, to tell the Federation when the Cabinet will formulate an equitable land use policy for marijuana cultivation. When will the Cabinet identify areas where land can be allocated to medicinal marijuana crop farmers? When they will determine the various types of licenses to be issued and the cost of these licenses, and whether preferential consideration will be given in terms of costs to local farmers and entrepreneurs. Focus on the bills to facilitate the personal cultivation by adults of cannabis for private use. My Straight Dog family, it's nothing but a distraction from the conduct of two Wutless experts, Prime Minister Terence Michael Drew, Attorney General Garth Lucien Wilkin. That's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. I just got to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I thank you, the many listeners on social media, our YouTube and our Facebook pages, those who called, those who sent emails. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's Spear, we will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light and thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.
In the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, the Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day, my guardian to keep and my guide, over every step I take, He will preside. So whatever my mind conceives that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Since God protects me with His love, strong, pure and true, and so sincere, 'cause my knees I'll always stay to the Lord in prayer. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top somehow.